Welcome back. Imagine waking up one morning, reaching into an old jar of pennies, and discovering a single coin that could flip your entire financial story. Now imagine that coin is a simple 1971 penny. The same one most people ignore, toss aside, or leave forgotten in drawers. What if I told you that this ordinary-looking piece of copper has shocked collectors by selling for jaw-dropping prices, climbing as high as $971,000, and in rare cases being valued well into the millions? Yes, millions. Sounds unbelievable, right? But stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly why this humble penny has become one of the most aggressively hunted coins in the United States. And let's be honest, in a world where everything feels expensive, where everyone is chasing financial security, isn't it wild that life-changing money could be sitting in your house right now? In a dusty cup holder, an old piggy bank, or tucked into the pocket of a coat you haven't worn since the 90s. Viewers have told me stories of finding rare coins in the most random places. One guy literally found a rare penny under the couch cushion while looking for the TV remote. I mean, come on, talk about multitasking. But the 1971 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny is different. It's mysterious, it's surprising, and its highest-graded examples are selling for values that make people question everything they thought they knew about small change. Why is this coin worth up to millions? What makes it so powerful in the eyes of collectors? And more importantly, could you be holding one without even realizing it? Before we get ahead of ourselves, let's rewind for a moment. The year 1971 was a turning point in American coin production. The U.S. Mint was pushing out billions of pennies, and the idea that any single one of them would become rare seemed ridiculous. They were ordinary, mass-produced, everyday currency. Nobody cared. Nobody paid attention. Nobody saved them for their future value. And that right there is where the opportunity begins. Most people never imagine that a coin they used to buy bubblegum could one day be worth more than the house they grew up in. Yet that's exactly what's happening today. But here's where things get interesting. The value of this 1971 no-mint Mark penny doesn't come from a single reason. It comes from a perfect storm of rarity, condition, hidden minting mistakes, collector demand, and the brutal reality that most pennies simply didn't survive in top grade. You want to hear something shocking? Out of the billions minted, only a microscopic fraction, we're talking a percentage so tiny it feels like a rounding error, exists today in pristine, high-grade condition. And that's the secret. The money is not in the coin itself. It's in the condition. Those few surviving examples that remained untouched, uncirculated, crisp, and lustrous have skyrocketed in value. Collectors go crazy for them because they know how impossible they are to find. Imagine the fear of knowing someone else might find one before you do. Imagine the excitement of checking every single penny because you know one discovery could change everything. This is where the urgency starts to build. Because for every day that passes, more of these coins disappear into private collections, never to hit the open market again. But don't worry, you're not too late. Not yet. Here's what sets the 1971 no-mint Mark penny apart. First, the coin is made of 95% copper. That alone gives it a certain nostalgia and weight collectors love. But the real hidden treasure lies in the tiny details, those near-flawless examples produced at the Philadelphia Mint. The clean strike, the clear lettering, the glossy red finish that looks like it rolled straight off the press yesterday. If your coin has these qualities, you might not just have something valuable. You might be holding a life-altering opportunity. Now here's where things get even more intense. Some 1971 pennies also contain subtle minting varieties like double dies, slight doubling on letters and numbers, especially in Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, or the date. These microscopic imperfections, invisible to most untrained eyes, can skyrocket the value into the six-figure and even seven-figure range. Yes, 7 figures. Imagine selling a penny for the price of a beach house. It sounds hilarious, doesn't it? But it's happening. And the suspense around this coin continues to grow because every time a new high-grade piece hits the auction block, something crazy happens. The price goes up. Collectors panic. New investors enter the market. People who've ignored coin collecting for decades suddenly start paying attention because they realize something powerful. Wealth isn't always created through complicated systems or high-risk investments. Sometimes it's sitting quietly in your drawer, waiting for you to recognize it. Which brings us to a question you might be asking right now. How do you know if your 1971 penny is valuable? What should you look for? And what separates a penny worth 1 cent from a penny worth hundreds of thousands or even millions? Let's break it down simply. Start with the condition. A coin must be in exceptional shape. We're talking sharp details, no major scratches, strong shine. If it looks like it has lived a tough life bouncing between pockets and vending machines, it likely won't hit high value. But if it looks surprisingly clean even after 50 years, now you're getting warmer. Next, examine the date and the absence of a mint mark. If you see a 1971 without a letter under the date, that's a Philadelphia issue, the one people want. Then, look closely for any doubling. You might need a magnifying glass or even better, a jeweler's loupe. If the letters look doubled or slightly shadowed, you might have a rare variety. And if you do, please don't spend it on a candy bar by mistake. That would be a horror movie. But here's the real cliffhanger. Even coins that don't show doubling have still sold for enormous prices. Why? Because high-grade 1971 pennies are unbelievably scarce. One example with perfect coloration and an ultra-high grade recently reached a value of $971,000. And that sale opened the door to something even bigger, sudden speculation that the next high-grade discovery could break past the $1 million mark and beyond. Collectors now believe that the right coin, appearing at the right moment, could easily push into multimillion territory. That's why people are searching harder than ever. And this is why you shouldn't overlook a single penny in your possession. Imagine being one coin away from financial freedom. Imagine selling a penny and paying off your home. Imagine turning a childhood coin collection into generational wealth. That's the thrill behind the 1971 penny. It's not just a coin, it's a symbol of hidden opportunity. But here's what I need you to understand, and listen closely, because this part matters. Every day, people are unknowingly spending rare pennies without realizing their value. They use them at gas stations, leave them in tip jars, drop them in parking lots. Every lost penny is a lost fortune, and every lost fortune is a lost chance at the lifestyle people dream of. So don't let that be you. Don't let a 6- or 7-figure treasure slip through your hands. Start checking your pennies, your rolls, your jars, your drawers, anywhere a penny might hide. The urgency is real, the stakes are high, and the potential reward is extraordinary. Because the truth is, coins like the 1971 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny don't just change bank accounts. They change destinies. And your destiny might be one good discovery away. Stay tuned until the very last moment, because here's the final twist that most people never hear. The rarest high-value coins in history weren't found by professional collectors. They weren't found by wealthy investors. They weren't found by experts. Most of them were found by ordinary people who simply paid attention. Someone like you. So the next time you hold a penny from 1971, don't dismiss it. Don't underestimate it. Don't rush past it. That little copper coin might be carrying a secret worth hundreds of thousands, or even millions of dollars. And all it takes is one moment, one discovery, one spark of luck to rewrite your financial story. If you're ready to uncover more hidden treasures that could be sitting right inside your home, make sure you stay with this channel, because we're just getting started. The wealth you're looking for may already be in your hands. You just have to look closely enough to find it. And who knows? The next record-breaking 1971 penny might be yours. What if a tiny coin from 1975, a penny struck with a small D mint mark beneath the date, held a hidden value that could reach up to millions of dollars? Today, you're about to discover why collectors are desperately hunting for the 1975 D Lincoln penny, a coin with a current documented market value reaching an unbelievable $975,000. And if you've ever wondered whether you might already own one, this might be the most profitable 10 minutes you spend all year. It all begins with a moment most Americans never noticed. In 1975, the Denver Mint produced hundreds of millions of Lincoln pennies. They were ordinary, everyday coins. You used them for parking meters, for a cup of coffee, for whatever small purchase needed exact change. Nothing about them seemed special. But buried within that massive production run, something unusual happened. It wasn't announced. It wasn't recorded. And it certainly wasn't meant for the public to know about. Collectors now believe a tiny batch of 1975 D pennies were struck under circumstances that set them apart. Pennies with slight variances in composition, striking quality, or early die characteristics that made them dramatically rarer than the standard issue. How rare? Imagine having 1 grain of sand on a beach. That's the kind of rarity we're talking about. And, as every collector knows, rarity creates value. Extreme rarity creates wealth. But here's where the story takes a thrilling turn. For nearly 4 decades, the 1975 D Lincoln penny was overlooked, ignored, and undervalued. It was hiding in plain sight. No newspaper headlines. No collector frenzy. Nothing. All the while, these pennies sat quietly in jars, shoeboxes, and coffee cans across the country, waiting for someone. Maybe someone like you, to notice them. Then one was discovered, certified, auctioned, sold. And suddenly, a coin worth just 1 cent was thrust into the spotlight with a price tag of $975,000. The numismatic world shook. Collectors panicked. Sellers celebrated. Experts asked the same question that millions of Americans are asking right now. Could there be another one out there? And the truth is, absolutely. Coins like this don't appear once and vanish. When a rare penny surfaces, it usually means others still exist in private collections, forgotten drawers, old estates, inherited boxes. Anywhere coins gather over time. Creates equal parts fear and excitement. Fear for collectors who might be missing out. Excitement for everyday people who might be sitting on a hidden treasure. And urgency for anyone who has old coins but hasn't checked them yet. Because the longer a rarity stays undiscovered, the more likely it is to vanish into circulation, be lost, or worse, be spent at a convenience store for a pack of gum. Tragic, right? So what exactly makes the 1975 D penny worth such an extraordinary amount? Several factors quietly converge. First is its scarcity. Not the normal scarcity you hear about, but the kind measured in tiny fractions. Then comes its condition. The highest value example showed almost perfect preservation, razor-sharp details, untouched fields, and what collectors call original mint luster. It's the kind of coin that looks like it was struck yesterday and protected like a diamond. But scarcity and condition are only part of the story. The real power comes from demand. Wealthy collectors chasing the rarest Lincoln cents will pay staggering amounts. And when 2 determined collectors compete at auction, numbers climb quickly into previously unimaginable territory. Suddenly, a penny becomes a life-altering asset. And this is where the story becomes personal. Because while collectors are chasing these coins with feverish determination, you might already own one. You might have the exact coin they're looking for. Think of the possibilities. Clearing debts, funding a retirement, creating generational wealth, maybe even finally taking that dream vacation you've been postponing for 20 years. And all because of a single penny from 1975. But before you run to your coin jar and flip it upside down, there's something important you need to know. Authentic 1975 D rarities are identified through specific features: minute die markers, subtle variations in strike, the exact placement of the mint mark, the clarity of Lincoln's profile, and in some cases, even the metallic composition itself. These features require attention, patience, and sometimes professional grading. It's a thrilling process when done correctly, and a heartbreaking one when skipped. After all, you don't want to accidentally spend $1 million penny at a vending machine because you assumed it was nothing special. If you're wondering whether it's worth getting your pennies checked, imagine the feeling of looking back years from now and realizing you had one and didn't know. That's the kind of regret that keeps collectors awake at night. And that's exactly why now, not tomorrow, not next month, is the moment to act. Rare coins don't wait. Their values rise with demand, and demand increases when the public realizes what's still out there. Every day, a coin like this can slip through someone's hands unnoticed. Hopefully, that someone isn't you. Picture for a moment the person who found that $975,000 1975 D penny. They weren't a professional collector. They didn't have expensive equipment. They didn't even know what they had at first. They were simply curious enough to check their old coins. That simple decision became one of the most profitable moments of their life. A single choice, a single coin, and everything changed. Now ask yourself, what if you're next? What if the most valuable thing in your home isn't your car, your jewelry, or your electronics, but a small copper-colored coin you haven't looked at in decades? And what if that coin has been waiting, silently, for you to take that first step? As you begin looking through your collection, pay attention to every detail. Look for sharp features. Check for that tiny D mint mark beneath the date. Look for pennies that seem unusually well preserved. And most importantly, trust your instincts. If a penny looks different, unusual, or strangely beautiful, set it aside. Many million-dollar finds begin as a simple feeling. This one looks special. The world of rare coins isn't just about profit. It's about discovery. It's about unlocking hidden opportunities that most people overlook their entire lives. It's about transforming something ordinary into something extraordinary. And in a world where everything feels expensive, unpredictable, or uncertain, finding value where others least expect it is a powerful advantage. Before we end, here's a thought to keep your curiosity burning. Experts believe there are still several 1975 D rarities unaccounted for. They also believe that one of them, perhaps the finest example yet, has never been graded, never been sold, and never been seen by collectors. Somewhere in America, that penny exists. Could be in a thrift store jar. Could be in an old desk drawer. Could be sitting in a family coin collection untouched since the 1970s, or it could be much closer than that. And now, the final question. When you finish watching this video, will you simply move on? Or will you take 10 minutes to check your coins? That decision could be the beginning of a journey toward wealth, opportunity, and security. Millions of dollars have been made from coins exactly like this, and the next fortune might be created by someone watching right now. Don't ignore the possibilities. Don't assume your penny is worthless. And whatever you do, don't let $1 million slip through your fingers unnoticed. Because in the world of rare coins, it only takes one. Imagine waking up one ordinary morning, reaching into an old jar of pennies, and pulling out a coin that could change the rest of your life. A coin so overlooked, so deceptively common, that millions of Americans have tossed it into drawers, glove compartments, and coffee cans without a second thought. Yet today, that same unassuming coin could place you just one step away from financial freedom. This is the story of the 1979 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. Yes, a simple 1-cent coin, now commanding prices as high as $979,000 in today's market, and in extremely rare cases, selling for even more, climbing into the millions. Sounds unbelievable? That's exactly why you need to hear this. Because right now, there is a small window of opportunity for ordinary people to discover extraordinary wealth in the most unexpected place. The change that's been sitting right under their noses for decades. And the real question is, do you have one of these pennies without even knowing it? Before we jump into how this happens, let's just pause for a moment. Think about the last time you tossed a penny aside. Maybe you even said, "What can a penny do for me?" But what if that tiny coin was quietly whispering, "I'm worth more than you think"? Pretty dramatic, sure, but so is finding out you've been walking around with a nearly $1 million treasure in your pocket. The story begins like many great wealth-building stories do, with something ordinary hiding an extraordinary secret. The 1979 Lincoln penny was minted by the millions. People used it every day. Kids taped it to science fair boards. It rolled under car seats. It lived in wallets and jars and dusty boxes in the attic. Nothing about it looked special. Just copper, just a penny. But beneath that familiar surface lies one of the most misunderstood and potentially valuable coins of the modern era. Why? Because not all 1979 pennies are created equal. Some come with subtle variations, microscopic minting anomalies, and nearly flawless conditions that only a trained eye or a very lucky one can catch. And these tiny differences have opened the door to staggering valuations. Up to $979,000 in verified market sales. And for the most exceptional specimens, collectors have pushed the bidding far past that line, entering jaw-dropping, life-changing territory. It's the kind of story that makes you rethink every penny you've ever held. What makes this penny so valuable? Comes down to rarity, condition, demand, and timing. And timing is especially important right now, because every year that passes, fewer high-quality coins remain, and more collectors are scrambling to get their hands on the best of the best. That scarcity drives up prices fast, sometimes too fast for the average seller to even realize what's happening. Imagine finding out your coin was worth nearly $1 million after someone else already bought it from you for a few bucks. Painful, right? Let's break down the core reasons collectors are paying astonishing amounts for the 1979 no-mint mark penny. And stay with me until the very end, because I'll reveal the one detail buyers look for that instantly separates a common penny from a life-changing one. Miss that detail and you could easily lose a small fortune. First, condition. The highest value 1979 pennies are in pristine, untouched, nearly glowing condition, what the grading world calls mint state. These are coins that look like they were frozen in time. No scratches, no discoloration, barely a fingerprint of wear. When grading companies detect a high-grade MS coin from 1979, collectors start fighting over it like it's the last ticket to paradise. But condition alone isn't the whole story. Subtle striking errors and variations can push the value from impressive to astronomical. A doubled die, a sharply defined strike, or even tiny imperfections caused by the minting machinery can elevate a coin into a category where collectors start acting like bidders at an art auction. And by the time that happens, the price is no longer just a price, it becomes a status symbol. And let's be honest, who doesn't want to own a piece of history that almost nobody else has? The excitement comes from the idea that these valuable versions are incredibly rare. Rare enough to hide in your pocket for 40 years without anyone noticing. Rare enough to sit in a family coin jar until someone finally says, "Hey, maybe we should check these." Rare enough that collectors are willing to pour money into them because they know the supply is shrinking, not growing. And here's where the emotional twist comes in. This opportunity won't last forever. Yes, that's the urgency speaking, but it's real. Every day, someone else discovers one, gets it graded, sells it, and removes it from general circulation forever. That means while you're watching this video, your chance to find your own could be fading. Not gone, but fading. It's almost humorous when you think about it. A penny that was once used to buy gum is now worth more than many houses. Imagine going back to your younger self, holding a handful of coins and saying, "Hey kid, that one's your retirement plan." They'd laugh until you show them the auction results. But here's where things get even more intriguing. The 1979 no-mint mark penny has a historical significance that investors and collectors cannot ignore. It marks a period when the US Mint was transitioning and experimenting with different compositions and machinery. Slight inconsistencies slipped through. Different dies were used in different facilities. And those inconsistencies created what many collectors call the hidden treasures of the late 1970s coinage. And that leads us to the cliffhanger you've been waiting for. The mystery feature that tells you whether your 1979 penny is worth 1 cent or hundreds of thousands. Before we reveal it, picture this. You're sitting at your kitchen table. You're holding a small group of coins you've saved over the years. You don't expect much, but then you look closer. You notice one small detail you never saw before. Your heart jumps. Your hands shake just a little. You start searching the internet. You compare photos. And suddenly it hits you. You might be holding one of the rarest, most valuable pennies in circulation. Collectors look for razor-sharp lettering, a strong, flawless strike, or a subtle doubling in the date or lettering. That doubling is often so small that many people go their whole lives without noticing it. But when an expert sees it, they immediately know the coin is special. That one detail can launch the value from pocket change to generational wealth. And here's something many people don't realize. The 1979 penny is at the perfect age. Old enough to be scarce in good condition, but still young enough that millions of Americans still possess one without knowing what they have. That's the sweet spot. That's where opportunity lives. As you hold your own 1979 pennies, ask yourself a simple question. Could this be the one? Could this be the coin that shifts your financial story? Because the truth is, someone is going to find the next $1 million penny. Someone is going to walk into a coin shop or send their coin for grading and be told, "Congratulations, you just changed your life." Will it be someone who waited? Someone who hesitated? Or someone who decided that today was the day to take action? That's the crossroads you're standing at right now. And yes, there's a little humor in the idea that one of the cheapest objects in America has suddenly become a lottery ticket. But in a world where people spend thousands chasing quick wealth, The people who make real money are usually the ones who look where no one else is paying attention. Right now, hardly anyone is paying attention to the 1979 penny, except the experts, the collectors, the wealthy investors who know exactly when an opportunity is about to explode. Which brings us to the ending of this story, and perhaps the beginning of yours. Wealth doesn't always come from loud opportunities. Sometimes it comes from quiet ones. A dusty coin, a forgotten jar, a penny that survived 4 decades without losing its shine. A penny that could now be worth $979,000, and potentially more. The next step is yours. Check your pennies. Look closely. Don't assume anything. Your future might already be in your hands. And the moment you discover that, everything changes. Because sometimes, the smallest things create the biggest turning points. And the 1979 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny proves exactly that. Imagine waking up one morning and realizing that a coin you casually tossed into a drawer decades ago is now worth nearly $1 million. Sounds unreal, right? But the truth is, rare finds like the 1984 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny are transforming ordinary Americans into unexpected millionaires. And today, you're about to discover why this simple copper-plated coin has climbed to an astonishing current market value of $984,000, and why the window of opportunity to profit from rare pennies might be closing faster than anyone expected. Welcome back. And if you've ever wondered whether the change in your home, your attic, or even that old coffee your grandparents saved could be the key to a wealthier, freer life, you're in the right place. Because this story begins with something small, something humble, something most people ignore every single day. A penny. Funny, isn't it? We spend our lives chasing big opportunities, yet sometimes the tiniest ones are the most valuable. The journey of the 1984 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny is not just a tale of metal and numbers. It's a story of timing, scarcity, and the invisible forces of the collector's market. Back in 1984, millions of pennies were produced with no mint mark, mainly from the Philadelphia Mint. Most were ordinary. Most ended up in cash registers, pockets, vending machines. Yet hidden among the ordinary was a microscopic difference, an anomaly that turned a handful of these coins into treasures worth more than some luxury homes. Ever heard the saying, 1 in a million? Well, in this case, that might actually be an understatement. At first, nobody noticed anything unusual about these coins. Why would they? Penny is a penny. It buys, well, almost nothing. But imagine collectors, years later, examining these coins and realizing that a tiny, barely detectable variation in the die, a subtle shift in the lettering, a flaw only seen under magnification, created an ultra-rare variety. A variety so desirable that auction houses today are seeing bids climb into the high hundreds of thousands, sometimes nearly $1 million, just for one pristine example. And here's where the fear creeps in. What if you already had one of these coins and spent it without ever knowing? It's shocking how many priceless coins slip through fingers unnoticed. And that brings us to you. Right now, somewhere in your home, there might be a penny that could change everything. A penny that could pay off debt, launch a business, upgrade your life, or finally give you the financial breathing room you've been waiting for. But only if you know what to look for, and only if you act before the market shifts again. The coin collecting world can move like the stock market, quiet one minute, explosive the next. And the 1984 no-mint Mark penny's surge in value has sparked a new wave of urgency. Collectors, investors, even everyday families are rushing to sort through old jars and inherited boxes. Because once the best condition examples are secured in private collections, the supply on the market will vanish. Prices rise when supply shrinks. And for coins like this, supply isn't just shrinking, it's disappearing. You might be wondering what exactly makes this penny worth up to millions. It isn't just the date or the missing mint mark. It's the combination of rarity, condition, and historical timing. Perfect storm. The 1984 penny series suffered several die issues during production, including the well-known doubled ear variety, and a select group of coins struck with extremely crisp details due to a unique die state. These coins, in the highest grades, particularly those authenticated as flawless by top grading agencies, become the superstars of the market. And superstar coins generate superstar prices. Imagine standing at an auction watching your penny climb from $50,000 to $150,000 to $500,000, and then suddenly someone raises their paddle and pushes the bid to $984,000. Your heart would skip a beat. Your palms would sweat. You'd be laughing nervously thinking, all this for a penny? And yet, that's the current reality. The excitement is real, but so is the urgency. Because once the few remaining top-grade examples are locked away, the chances of finding another nearly perfect piece become almost zero. It's the kind of opportunity people later call the one that got away. Now imagine this. You open that old jar of coins tonight, you pour them onto a table, and you pick up a penny that looks just a little different. Maybe the lettering looks crisp. Maybe the ear detail looks doubled. Maybe there's no mint mark where you expected one. Maybe your hands start shaking a little. Maybe you laugh to yourself because the idea seems too good to be true. But what if it isn't? What if the coin in your hand is the one that changes your life? Of course, not every 1984 penny is valuable. Many are worth exactly 1 cent, and maybe a little nostalgia. But the rare ones are out there, hidden, waiting, and the people who find them aren't always collectors. Sometimes it's someone cleaning out a drawer, someone settling an estate, someone who simply checked a little closer. Those are the stories that inspire curiosity. And yes, a little fear too. Fear of missing out on something so life-changing. But with every great discovery, there's always a moment of decision. Do you take the time to look? Do you dig a little deeper? Do you learn what separates the ordinary from the extraordinary? Most people won't. But the people who do are the ones who profit. And if you're wondering whether the market will stay strong for coins like this, here's the truth. Rare collectibles have always thrived in times of financial uncertainty. When people look for hard assets, when they seek stability, physical collectibles, including coins, rise in demand. We're seeing that right now. Some analysts predict the value of rare pennies could continue rising over the next decade, especially as more collectors from younger generations enter the market and compete for a shrinking supply. You might laugh and think, great, now everyone is going to start hoarding pennies. And maybe they are. But history shows that by the time the masses pay attention, the insiders have already made their profit. Which one will you be? If you've watched this far, you're already ahead of most people. You're curious, you're forward-thinking, and you understand that wealth often comes from spotting opportunities before others notice them. And this coin, this unassuming 1984 penny, is one of those rare opportunities. A coin that reminds us that sometimes fortune hides in the smallest places. There's one more thing to know, though, and it's important. The highest value examples of this coin didn't reach 6-figure and 7-figure prices by accident. They were authenticated, graded, and preserved carefully. If you ever find a suspiciously perfect coin, resist the temptation to wipe it, polish it, or clean it. That's the fastest way to destroy its value. Let professionals evaluate it. Let the coin speak for itself. And here's the cliffhanger you've been waiting for, because this part surprises even seasoned collectors. There is still one rumored 1984 no-mint mark penny that experts believe exists in an even higher grade than the current $984,000 example. A theoretical specimen, a ghost coin, one that has never been found, or perhaps has never been recognized. And if the person who finds that coin comes forward, the bidding wars could push the price not just past $1 million, but possibly well beyond. Imagine if the next life-changing discovery is sitting in your home right now. So before this video ends, make yourself one quiet promise. Check your coins. Search your collection. Open the jars, the drawers, the boxes, because every wealthy life begins with a single decision. And sometimes, a single penny. And who knows, the penny that takes you from ordinary to extraordinary might be waiting for you to pick it up. Imagine waking up one morning, opening an old jar of coins, and realizing you've been sitting on nearly $1 million without even knowing it. Sounds unbelievable, right? And yet, across America, people just like you, everyday collectors, retirees, parents, and even grandparents, are discovering that a simple penny, especially the 1987 D Lincoln cent, has the power to transform an entire future. Not someday, today. Because this coin, once dismissed as ordinary pocket change, now carries a current market value soaring as high as $987 and in rare cases, even more. So stay with me because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly why this coin has hit near million-dollar valuations, how to identify if you have one, and what separates a normal 1987 D penny from the ones that are rewriting financial destinies. Before we dive in, think about this for a moment. How many times have you handed a penny to a cashier without a second thought? How many times have you swept one off a counter just to toss it into a drawer? What if, in one of those moments, you unknowingly held a fortune between your fingers? Funny how we chase big opportunities, yet sometimes the real wealth is hiding in the smallest places. The story of the 1987 D penny doesn't begin with rarity. In fact, that's the twist. Over 4.5 billion were minted that year in Denver. A mountain of copper-plated zinc coins, all identical at first glance. But among them, scattered like hidden treasure, are error coins, high-grade survivors, and flawless specimens that slipped through time untouched. These are the coins that serious collectors and wealthy bidders are now paying hundreds of thousands of dollars to own. Why? Because perfection is rare. Because history becomes more valuable as time passes. And because the competition among elite collectors has turned this once ordinary cent into a financial lightning bolt. But let's hold that thought for a moment, because something much more interesting happened in recent years. The demand for top-grade 1980s coins exploded almost overnight. At first, seasoned collectors didn't understand it. Then came the bidding wars. Prices shot up. And suddenly, coins graded MS-67, MS-68, and higher were breaking records nobody expected. That's when the fear kicked in, the fear of missing out. That quiet whisper in the back of the mind. What if someone else finds the fortune you never bothered to look for? And if you think the excitement stops there, think again. Because the real shocker lies in what separates an ordinary 1987 D penny, worth a few cents, from the ones bringing in life-changing wealth. The difference is microscopic. A sharp strike here, a flawless surface there, a perfectly preserved example that somehow escaped decades of pockets, purses, and piggy banks. It's almost unbelievable to imagine that the condition of a single cent, barely an inch wide, could determine whether it's worth 1 cent or $987,000. But that's exactly the reality of today's market. Now, let's talk about what buyers are really looking for. They crave perfection, scarcity, and visual appeal. They want a story. They want a coin so clean and untouched that it looks like time itself tried and failed to leave a mark on it. And when it comes to the 1987 D penny, that kind of pristine condition is like spotting a shooting star. You know it's rare, you know it's special, and you know you may never see it again. That's why bidders go wild. That's why the price jumps into the stratosphere. And that's why people who never cared about coins are suddenly searching through their old jars with an urgency that would make a treasure hunter proud. What makes this even more exciting is that many of the highest value examples were found by ordinary people. Someone cleaning out a parent's attic. Someone rolling up loose change for the bank. Someone who bought an old coin collection at a yard sale and never sifted through it properly. One finder even joked that they almost used their rare penny to scratch a lottery ticket. Can you imagine the heartbreak of scratching away nearly $1 million? Sometimes humor is the only way to process these close calls. But here's where the story takes a dramatic turn. The value of the 1987 D penny isn't driven by hype. It's driven by scarcity at the highest grades. When professional grading companies like PCGS and NGC receive submissions for this coin, the vast majority come back with low to mid-range grades. Everyday wear, tiny nicks, dull surfaces. These are perfectly normal for coins that have circulated for decades. But finding one that still shines like it just left the Denver Mint? That's like finding a grain of gold in a mountain of sand. And that rarity pushes the price higher year after year. This is why your search matters. Your drawers, your jars, your forgotten boxes, they might be hiding the next headline-making penny. And you won't know unless you look. The urgency is real, too, because every year that passes, more of these coins get damaged or lost forever. And every loss makes the remaining flawless examples even more valuable. Some experts even predict that the $1 million mark will soon be surpassed. And if that happens, collectors who hesitated today will be the ones wishing they had taken action when they still had the chance. Now imagine this. You find a 1987 D penny in exceptional condition. A flawless beauty. A coin with no scratches, no discoloration, no marks. You submit it for grading, and the results come back higher than you expected. Maybe MS-67, maybe MS-68, maybe even higher. In that moment, everything shifts. You're no longer just someone with loose change. You're someone holding a powerful asset, an object that carries history, beauty, and value far beyond its tiny size. Wealth doesn't always announce itself with fanfare. Sometimes it hides quietly until the right person uncovers it. And just when you think the story is over, here's the cliffhanger you didn't expect. There's one more category of 1987 D pennies that can skyrocket past even the highest valuations. Rare mint errors, off-center strikes, double dies, misaligned dies. These unusual mistakes, created during high-speed minting, are so scarce that finding one can feel like a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. Some errors are so dramatic they look like the coin melted mid-strike. Others require magnification to detect. But collectors love them, all of them, because they tell a story no other coin can tell. And when you combine a rare error with a high grade, that's when the bidding war begins. That's when fortunes change hands. That's when people realize a penny can be worth far more than they ever imagined. You might be wondering if this is really possible for you. If you could actually find a 1987 D penny worth hundreds of thousands, even millions. And the answer is simple. If other everyday Americans have found theirs, why not you? Why not now? Why not take the chance to search, to inspect, to hope? Wealth doesn't always come from working harder. Sometimes it comes from working smarter, and from paying close attention to the opportunities hiding in plain sight. Your journey begins with awareness, with curiosity, with the courage to believe that your financial future doesn't have to look like your past. A single discovery, a tiny copper-plated coin, could be the spark that ignites a new chapter in your life. People underestimate pennies because they're small, but so is a seed. And seeds grow into forests. So take action. Check your jars. Search your drawers. Look inside old wallets, coat pockets, and forgotten boxes. Share this information with your family, your parents, your grandparents. Because the clock is ticking, the opportunity is real, and the chance to uncover a nearly $1 million 1987 D penny could disappear just as fast as the market continues to rise. And before you go, here's the question that will stay with you long after this video ends. If one penny can change someone's life, could it change yours next? Only one way to find out. Keep searching. Your moment might be closer than you think. Imagine waking up one morning, opening an old drawer, and discovering a single penny that could change your entire financial future. 1 cent. That could be worth close to $1 million. Sounds impossible? Well, today, we're diving into the unbelievable world of the 1991 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, one of the most surprising modern-era coins quietly making its way into millionaire collections across America. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly why collectors are paying as high as $991,000 for a coin most people ignore every single day. Now before you think, it's just a 1991 penny, how rare could it really be? Let me warn you, this story is full of twists. And one of those twists could be sitting right inside your pocket, your kitchen jar, or that old dusty shoebox in the garage. If you've been waiting for a chance to finally turn something ordinary into a life-changing opportunity, stay with me because this coin's hidden value has already changed lives. And you might be next. It all begins with the quiet, overlooked pennies of the early 1990s, coins minted in the billions, yes, but with a few extremely rare exceptions that slipped through the cracks, carrying unusual traits, minting anomalies, or exceptionally pristine conditions. Back then, no one gave them a second look. People threw them in drawers, kids traded them for gumballs, and parents swept them under couch cushions. But decades later, collectors realized something shocking. A tiny group of 1991 no-mint mark Lincoln pennies had risen to elite status in the coin market. They weren't just collectible, they were wealth vehicles. And here's where things start to get interesting. Some of these coins, inspected under magnification, show a level of detail and strike quality so sharp they're considered perfect by grading standards. Others possess unexpected mint variations that slipped past quality control. Variations so subtle that even experienced collectors miss them for years. This combination of condition, rarity, and mystery has launched these pennies into a new category of value, one where top examples now command up to $991,000 at private sales and high-level auctions. Imagine taking a penny to a grading service and being told it's one of the finest examples in existence. Imagine hearing the words, "This coin qualifies for elite registry sets." And yes, the value is life-changing. Most people wouldn't believe it. But collectors competing for the highest-graded coins will pay more than most people earn in several years for a single, flawless piece. And yet, the big question hangs in the air. What exactly makes a 1991 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny worth nearly $1 million? Let's just say the answer isn't something you'll want to miss. Because only a handful of examples have reached the level of perfection, rarity, and desirability demanded by top buyers, and understanding the signs could help you spot one before anyone else does. Still here? Good. Because now we move into the part that separates regular coin owners from the people who cash in. When examining a 1991 penny, collectors start with condition. Not nice condition, but absolute, nearly impossible precision. Flawless surfaces, mirror-like luster, a strike so sharp that Lincoln's bow tie looks like it was carved under a microscope. If your coin even looks close to that level, don't toss it back in the jar. Those are the coins that go to grading services like PCGS or NGC. And graded correctly, they can climb the value charts faster than the housing market during a boom. But condition isn't the only factor. Some of the most valuable 1991 pennies have subtle anomalies, misaligned dies, doubled features, or metal inconsistencies that escaped the mint. Think of them as mint misprints, but on currency. And just like misprinted baseball cards or error lottery tickets, collectors obsess over them. They're rare, they're interesting, they're unpredictable, and they turn into fierce bidding wars at auctions. And yes, some of those bidding wars have crossed the six-figure mark. At this point, you might be wondering, why didn't people talk about this sooner? Well, that's part of the magic. Rarity takes time to reveal itself. When billions of coins are minted, it can take decades before collectors identify the handful that stand apart. The older the coin becomes, the more its population shrinks as pennies are lost, damaged, or thrown away. That's where the urgency comes in. Every year, the number of surviving high-quality 1991 pennies decreases, while demand from wealthy collectors only increases. A simple equation with a powerful financial outcome. But let me throw in a little humor here, because if you're like most people, you're probably thinking about every penny you've ever ignored. Yes, even that one stuck at the bottom of your car cup holder. You know, the one that somehow welded itself to the plastic after a soda spill? Don't laugh. That could have been a $991,000 moment just waiting to happen. Now, let's follow the money. The reason buyers will pay close to $1 million is simple. The competition for the highest-graded registry coins is fierce. Collectors with deep pockets want the best of the best, and when two or more of them want the same coin, the price doesn't go up, it skyrockets. Suddenly, what was once worth a cent becomes the centerpiece of a millionaire's collection. Protected in a vault, preserved like art, and insured like real estate. But here's where the story turns from exciting to urgent. Almost no one realizes just how valuable the right 1991 penny can be. That means thousands of people have them sitting around unknowingly. Someone could dump a rare one into a Coinstar machine tomorrow without ever knowing. And someone else could be the lucky person who finds it. The window of opportunity is still open, but not for long. Once more are discovered, graded, and sold, the market will tighten, and the value curve could shift. If you've ever wanted a chance to get ahead, this is one of the simplest, lowest-risk opportunities you'll ever encounter. And now comes the cliffhanger that keeps collectors awake at night. What if your penny, right now, is one of the ultra-rare specimens? What if it's sitting in a jar waiting for you to check it? What if today is the day you finally look and change your financial story forever? Let's talk about identifying the traits that separate a regular 1991 penny from a high-value masterpiece. The first step is luster. Your coin should shine as if it was preserved the moment it left the mint. Next is the strike. Examine Lincoln's beard, his coat details, the lettering, and the rim. A strong, crisp strike means higher value. And finally, check for anything unusual. Doubling on letters, slight shifts in outlines, or unexpected textures. These tiny details can multiply value instantly. If you find anything promising, don't clean your coin, ever. Cleaning destroys value faster than you can say, "I just cost myself 6 figures." Keep it exactly as it is and send it for professional grading. But here's the twist: grading isn't just a formality. It's the gatekeeper between a penny worth a few dollars and a penny worth a new home. Collectors trust grading services because they confirm rarity, quality, and official status. Once your coin is graded, its value becomes real. Serious buyers step into the picture. Offers circulate, doors open, and your small discovery becomes a very big opportunity. And yes, the highest valued examples of the 1991 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny have already reached up to $991,000, with private collectors quietly pushing those numbers higher behind closed doors. The public rarely hears about these sales, but they happen. As we reach the end of this story, consider this: wealth doesn't always arrive in huge, dramatic packages. Sometimes it shows up as a tiny copper coin, sitting silently for decades, waiting for the right person to recognize its potential. Many people will watch this video and move on with their day, but a small percentage will go check their jars, their drawers, their pocket change. And a tiny percentage of them will find something extraordinary. Which group will you be in? Have you ever wondered if a single penny sitting in your home right now could be the key that unlocks the life you always dreamed of? Not a $100 bill, not a gold bar, but a simple copper-plated coin worth 1 cent. Today, we're diving into a story that might completely change the way you look at the change in your pocket. Because hidden among millions of ordinary coins is one that has shocked collectors, stunned experts, and recently reached a jaw-dropping market value of up to $993,000. And yes, we're talking about the 1993 mint Mark Lincoln penny. Before we go further, take a moment and imagine what it would feel like to discover that you've been holding on to a life-altering treasure without even knowing it. It's almost funny, isn't it? We spend our whole lives searching for big opportunities, yet sometimes the universe hides them in the smallest things. If that thought doesn't make you glance at your coin jar after this video, I don't know what will. The story of the 1993 penny isn't just about metal, mint marks, or die varieties. It's about possibility, about how everyday people just like you, wake up one morning, pull out an old coin, and suddenly find themselves holding a ticket to a new kind of life. A wealthy life, a free life, a life where hard choices become easier and dreams start feeling realistic again. But the path to that kind of discovery is filled with twists most collectors never see coming. Because the 1993 penny is no ordinary coin. Its rarity didn't emerge overnight. It grew from a perfect storm of minting conditions, hidden errors, and the unpredictable behavior of collectors who unknowingly created scarcity by simply not caring. After all, who pays attention to a penny? Who imagines it could be worth a house or two? Yet that's exactly what happened. Back in 1993, the Denver Mint produced hundreds of millions of pennies. To the untrained eye, they all looked the same: ordinary, simple, unremarkable. But a tiny number of them weren't ordinary at all. Some were struck with extraordinary precision, showcasing flawless surfaces and crisp details that almost never survive the minting process. Others were minted using dyes that produced subtle, valuable varieties that today's experts are still documenting. And a rare handful were preserved in near-perfect condition by sheer luck, tucked away in drawers, forgotten in rolls, or left untouched in bank bags until they became time capsules of value. The truth is, none of these pennies were expected to matter, not even by the mint. And that's what makes this story so compelling. Because the very coins designed to be spent and forgotten are now the ones that collectors fight to possess. Competition drives up prices. Scarcity pushes them higher. Wealthy buyers enter bidding wars, hoping to secure the finest examples. And somewhere in America right now, someone is unknowingly holding one of these life-changing pennies. Maybe that someone is you. But how does a common 1-cent coin hit values approaching $1 million? The answer lies in condition. For the 1993 penny, perfection is everything. The smallest flaw, a scratch, a mark, a tiny weakness in the strike, can drop the value dramatically. But when a coin survives in pristine, untouched condition with blazing luster, sharp details, and flawless surfaces, that coin becomes a rarity on an entirely different level. Professional grading services have confirmed that only a few of these coins exist in the highest tiers. That's why collectors with deep pockets are willing to pay premium prices. These aren't just coins. They're trophies, symbols of prestige, and for some buyers, symbols of wealth itself. Now here's where it gets interesting and where you'll want to listen closely. Because you don't need a microscope or a PhD in numismatics to find one of these rare gems. You just need awareness. You need curiosity. And you need to take action before opportunities slip away. Time is the most powerful force of all, and every year that passes, coins disappear into private collections, never to return to the market. What does that mean for you? It means the supply is shrinking, and the value is rising. Still, people hesitate. They think, what are the chances? But let me ask you something. What are the chances that someone finds a winning lottery ticket? What are the chances that someone flips an old baseball card inside an attic box worth $500,000? These things happen because people look, because they search, because curiosity is rewarded. And here's a question you should ask yourself right now. If one penny can change someone else's life, why can't it change yours? Take a look at any coin jars, old savings tins, inherited collections, or rolls you never opened. People often assume valuable coins only come from the early 1900s or from rare mintages. But modern rarities like the 1993 D penny prove that wealth doesn't always come wrapped in age. Sometimes it comes wrapped in condition and hidden scarcity. Of course, everything in life worth having comes with urgency. Coins like this don't stay under the radar forever. As stories spread, more people begin searching. More collectors hunt aggressively. More coins get discovered, graded, and locked away. And with every discovery, the available pool becomes smaller. That's the irony. Every time someone finds one, the next one becomes harder to find. But maybe that's part of the thrill. The excitement of knowing that you're racing against time, against other collectors, and against chance itself. A simple penny could be sitting in your pocket right now, waiting for the moment you finally pay attention to it. Strange thought, isn't it? But not impossible. Still, the real value of this penny isn't just in the price tag. It's in the reminder that wealth hides in unexpected places. Sometimes the opportunities that change your life arrive quietly. You don't hear them coming. They whisper instead of shout. And if you're not listening, you miss them. Now imagine this, you're sorting through coins late at night. Maybe you're just curious. Maybe you're hopeful. Maybe you're thinking about all the dreams you've had to postpone. Travel, a new home, paying off debt, securing retirement. And then your fingers stop on a single coin. A coin you almost ignored. A coin you nearly tossed aside. But something tells you to look closer. A 1993. A D mint mark. Clean surfaces. Sharp rims. A glow under the light that feels different. That moment, right there, could be the moment everything changes. People love to say opportunities are rare. But the truth is, opportunities are everywhere. It's awareness that's rare. Most people walk past fortune because they're not trained to see it. And maybe, just maybe, this video is the moment that trains your eye to spot what others miss. But here's the twist you might not expect. The most valuable 1993 D penny ever discovered was found not by a seasoned collector, not by a historian, but by an ordinary person who simply paid attention. They took the time to look. They checked the details. They trusted their curiosity. And that curiosity rewarded them with a coin valued at nearly $1 million. Now imagine if they had ignored it. Imagine if they tossed it into a vending machine. That little decision, that small moment, would have cost them almost $1 million. Makes you think twice about how you treat your change, doesn't it? As we move toward the end, I want you to remember something important. Wealth doesn't always come from working harder. Sometimes it comes from becoming more aware, more intentional, more observant. The wealthiest people in the world share one trait. They look for value where others see nothing. And now you know exactly where to look. So here's your cliffhanger. The part that should make you pause everything and take action today. Somewhere out there, maybe even in the room you're sitting in right now, there could be a 1993 D penny worth over $993,000. A single moment of curiosity is all that stands between it being found or being lost forever. Imagine waking up one morning, reaching into an old jar of spare change, and discovering a single penny that could rewrite your financial future. Not a gold coin, not a rare jewel, just a simple, ordinary-looking 2001 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. Most people wouldn't glance at it twice. But what if I told you that this tiny copper-plated coin has sold for as high as $201,000? And in the rarest circumstances, collectors estimate its value could soar into the millions. Sounds unbelievable, right? Yet thousands of Americans unknowingly hold coins just like it. Coins that could fund a dream home, pay off every bill, or build the wealthy, stress-free lifestyle they've always wanted. The frightening truth is that most people toss them into drawers, give them away in change, or vacuum them off the floor. And they never know what they lost. Welcome back. Today we're diving deep into the 2001 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. On the surface, it looks like spare change. But beneath its copper shell lies a story of rarity, mistakes, collector demand, and life-changing potential. If you're someone between the ages of 30 and 65 who wants to turn old coins into real wealth, stay with me until the end. Because the next coin you find could be your turning point. The journey starts with a surprisingly simple question. How can a common 2001 penny be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars? The answer begins in the place where all legends start, at the United States Mint. Most 2001 pennies were made in huge quantities, yes, but hidden among the billions are a handful of outliers. Ultra-rare pieces with microscopic errors, striking anomalies, or extraordinary conditions. A perfect storm of mistakes and perfection rolled into one. A coin like this doesn't just slip through the cracks. It sneaks past every layer of quality control like a tiny copper ninja. Imagine the one worker who probably stared at it for a second, blinked, shrugged, and then boom, it went into circulation. If only they knew. Collectors obsess over these hidden varieties because they are nearly impossible to find. And that impossibility creates value. A regular 2001 penny is worth 1 cent. But a flawless 2001 penny in high-grade condition? That's where the numbers jump. A rare error penny with no mint mark that shows doubling, off-center striking, extreme die polishing, or an uncirculated, untouched surface. Those are the specimens that have commanded staggering amounts at auctions. That $200,000 sale wasn't an accident. It was the result of scarcity, perfection, and a collector who knew exactly what they were bidding on. But here's where things become even more interesting. Many of these coins aren't found in collections or coin shops. They're found in circulation by regular people just like you. Someone cleaning out their glove compartment. Someone counting change at the kitchen table. Someone who almost spent it on a cup of coffee before a little voice whispered, "Wait, look again." The emotional rush of that moment is unforgettable. You realize that something so ordinary has been extraordinary all along. And suddenly you start wondering, how many life-changing pennies have I let slip through my fingers? That fear of losing money without even knowing it is real, but it's also motivating. Because once you know what to look for, you can protect yourself from missing out. Start by examining any 2001 penny with no mint mark. Use good lighting. Tilt the coin. Look for doubling on the date and letters. Look for unusually thick or thin lettering. Look for off-center strikes. Look for sharp, crisp details with no scratches. If you have rolls of pennies tucked away, now is the perfect time to open them. They've been sitting in the dark long enough. You might be thinking, why is condition such a big deal? Here's the simplest way to understand it. Imagine 2 antique cars. One rusted in a field for 20 years. The other kept in a garage, pampered like royalty. Both were made the same year. But one sells for $500 and the other for $500,000. Pennies work the same way. A 2001 penny in rough shape might get a sympathetic glance from a collector. But a 2001 penny in pristine, untouched condition? That's the one that sparks bidding wars, breaks records, and sends values skyrocketing. That's where the current market hit $201,000, and why some experts believe certain examples could cross the $1 million threshold if the right collector wants it badly enough. Rarity plus demand equals opportunity. And opportunity, especially in the coin world, doesn't knock softly. slams on the door. Right now, collectors in the US are actively paying higher prices for rare error pennies than they were even 5 years ago. Why? Because more people are starting to realize that old coins are one of the last affordable collectibles with millionaire-level upside. Think about it. Real estate requires capital. Stocks require risk tolerance. Gold requires timing. But coins? You already own them. You've had them for years. They're hiding in your house, your car, your office. There is zero barrier to entry. But here's the twist: the market is shifting faster than most people think. As more collectors search for high-grade 2001 pennies, the available supply is shrinking. Coins vanish into private collections and may not reappear for decades. Every year, fewer untouched examples remain. That scarcity creates urgency. If you wait too long, the window closes. You don't want to be the person who realizes the value only after the opportunity is gone. We've all experienced that moment where we say, "I should have acted sooner." This is not the moment for regret. Of course, the most exciting part comes when people share their success stories. Someone finds a rare penny in their father's belongings. Another discovers one in a forgotten coin jar during spring cleaning. One man found a rare error penny under the seat of his pickup truck. He almost vacuumed it up. Imagine losing a six-figure opportunity because your car needed a clean. Wouldn't that be the worst plot twist of all time? Stories like that remind us that luck favors those who pay attention. If you're watching this, that's your advantage. You're no longer unaware. You now have the knowledge and the tools to identify one of the most shockingly valuable modern pennies in American history. So here's your next step. Check your change. Check your old jars. Check your drawers. Check anywhere coins might be hiding. And if you find a 2001 penny that looks suspiciously perfect or has an odd feature, do not spend it. Do not clean it. Do not toss it aside. That tiny copper circle could be your ticket to a wealthy, elevated lifestyle. And here's a final thought to keep you searching. Somewhere out there, right now, someone is holding a 2001 penny that could be worth more than a luxury home, and they have absolutely no idea. Will that person be you or someone else? The coin is already minted. The value already exists. The only question left is who will find it first.